So let me have Josette and Kez. Can you guys tell me what roles you played in this film?
Hi, I'm Josette. I am the director and writer of The Next Day.
Hi, I'm Kez. I was the producer and also the graphic designer for The Next Day.
Awesome. So Robert Oppenheimer, how did you guys decide to do a film on him and the first atomic bomb?
I got interested in his life, I think about 2 years ago, and I was reading his biography, and I kind of, as I was reading it, I kind of just like, I kind of knew that I wanted to make my thesis about that subject.
Awesome. Let me mute while I'm talking. So there were references to the Bhagavad Gita and even Macbeth. I admittedly had to Google one of those quotes to find out which piece of literature it was from. But was that known to be part of his reading and interests? Or did you guys kind of incorporate that, because it fit the story you were telling?
So the Bhagavad Gita was Oppenheimer's favorite book. He actually taught himself Sanskrit in order to read it because they didn't have an English translation. So he translated it himself. And it was something, he wasn't religious, but that was something he took a great amount of personal interest in, was the Bhagavad Gita. And people often quote him as quoting another quote from the Bhagavad Gita, which is, "I am become death, the destroyer of worlds," which is a little bit misquoted, that particular quote. But I won't get into that. But Macbeth was me. I was actually really into Macbeth at the time that I was writing it, and I knew him to be somebody who quoted literature often, so it wasn't like, it wouldn't have been too much of a jump for him to quote Macbeth.
Yeah, so let's talk about, Kez, about like the location and logistically how you guys were able to film with those. So you had about 4 actors in total, 4 or 5. Yeah, so tell me the logistics, with COVID and protocols, how did you guys make that happen?
So I worked a lot of the time, well, I wasn't completely remotely, so I worked from England the entire time, so I actually wasn't there on set.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I kind of assisted Josette with, obviously she went on the location scouting to like Nevada and things like that. And obviously I got a feedback of everything that was there. And we just kind of discussed on what location would work best, obviously like production-wise. And obviously COVID, it didn't really hit until I think it was the last shoot, when everything started to lock down. So there wasn't necessarily like COVID restrictions and things in place.
Got it.
But yeah, we're just lucky on that account, really.
So Josette, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's awesome. Josette, so how did you find those awesome locations? Kez just mentioned Nevada. Tell me how you got there.
Well, it was like a whole thing, actually, because there was a while where, and I have to really credit my DP, Sam Delaware. He was like, in order to sell this last scene, I think we should go film in the desert. And for a bit, I was like hemming and hawing because, obviously that's a lot of money to take a whole crew and actors out and, find places to stay. But eventually I was kind of like, you know what, let's just do it. And then from there, I knew we couldn't go too far away. So I started with like local locations that might look like something, but the more I like moved out, I use Google Maps like quite a bit. The more I moved out, the more I realized that like northwest Nevada would be like the best place. And I found this public land area that we didn't really need a permit to film there or anything. And it was just like the perfect spot. It had the Sierra Nevadas in the background. It was isolated. And I drove out there with my DP and we took some footage. And that was pretty much that.
Well, incredible work on that location. It seemed to fit perfectly for this story. So how about that atomic bomb going off, that effect? How do you guys pull that off?
Well, it was a combination of post and some stuff we did on set. We brought some powerful lights on set, and we set those off. And obviously, an atomic bomb, there's kind of a delay in how, in what things will hit you first. I actually talked to a friend of mine who's an astrophysicist and kind of just got his opinion on it just to make sure that it was kind of close to accurate as much as we could do. So we had lights set off that were really like bright. And then in post, one of PUC's really great teachers, Brian Kyle, he took the footage and he did a bunch of magic and made it look as close to real as we could get it. And I think he did a really fantastic job.
Very thorough, to get the input of a scientist to understand the science behind, it's not just all at once. You feel it in, over a certain amount of time. It's quick, but, over a certain amount of time for sure.
Yeah.
Kez, with you editing remotely, what was your process like?
So it was quite interesting. Obviously, there was a lot of things I couldn't necessarily contribute towards, such as locations per se and like scouting them. I worked heavily alongside with Josette with the actors, obviously from like their flight, accommodation, organising the shoot dates and who could do which days and things like that. And we also done a lot of like script read-throughs, which were very interesting because you could see the dynamic between the actors and see how they'd really work on set, which was very interesting. And also the actor for Robert Oppenheimer, Timothy Halls, he actually brought a piece of the rock from the Trinity site, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, he brought a Trinitite. Yeah.
Yeah, he brought some from the actual site, which was really interesting to see.
Okay, I've been instructed for everybody to hit refresh on their browsers. We're all back? Okay, I just wanted to make sure we caught the end, Kez, of what you were saying, because it's really insightful to know how you were able to do this remotely. So like the last bit that you were saying, if you don't mind repeating.
No, so I can't remember where it cut off exactly, but like I said, a lot of the work I done was mainly with the actors, and we discussing the logistics of getting to the locations for the shoots, but also working through the script in that alongside with Josette as well, and going through scripts and things, just see the dynamic. And as I mentioned, the actor for Robert Oppenheimer, Timothy, he brought along a piece of Trinitite from the actual site. He was really invested in the role, which was really good to see actually. And he was so invested in the emotional aspects of Robert Oppenheimer as well, and you could really see that.
And may I add, he actually, he had two family members that actually worked on the Manhattan Project.
Wow.
Yeah, and one of his uncle, I believe, studied under physicist Robert Serber. And Robert Serber was very close friends with Oppenheimer. And actually, after he passed away, he married Oppenheimer's wife because they were also quite close. But
wow,
that was really special.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, you guys, it seems like you had like the perfect team to tell this story, and you guys worked well together and got the location, got the team, got the talent, got the connections and the expertise and resources. So I want to congratulate you again for a job well done with this film. Give another hand, everybody, for our filmmakers.